size compared, so those are among the tallest buildings in the world, including the Empire State Building, World Trade Center, Sears Tower, Chicago. So if you lay it on its side, you take 2 or 3 of them to fill it in, because the width is almost 200 feet wide. And actually much more than 2,000, close to, including everything, it's about 2,500 feet in length to the end. And it's going to be beautiful.
We have entered the "my pond is bigger than your house" part of the Trump presidency. I don't even know why those things are on the same piece of paper. Someone should have told him one was a body of water, the other 3 are buildings. All the same, he's obsessed with the size of things shaped like that. Hi again, everybody. It's now 5 o'clock in New York. That was real. It was another in a growing chronicle of things I asked my team to vet to make sure it wasn't AI, that was actually the president, not some stunt guy, that was actually from the Oval Office, not a Jimmy Kimmel, skit, that was the president, that was actually what he was holding, that it wasn't actually a map of something, and that he actually had a board with a body of water next to 3 buildings and was bragging that the body of water was bigger than the buildings. That happened today. It's part of his...
That was not a joke. That was not AI. That was the actual president of the United States comparing a body of water to skyscrapers and bragging about it, while Americans struggle to pay rent. Let that sink in. Watch what comes next.
It's part of his obsession with home decorating and renovations of Washington, D.C. This is the reflecting pool. He's, for some reason, measuring it against the length of the pool against the height of skyscrapers. Makes no sense at all. I'm embarrassed even reading this to you, especially at a moment when Americans are screaming from the rooftops about the price of gas, cost of childcare, cost of health care, and the economy, as well as unhappy about the war with Iran. But Trump is obsessed with this stuff. He's done a redo of the South Lawn. That is a live picture of what he's done to what was the once beautiful, beautiful grounds of the White House. This is his cage match thing. It looks like something at a amusement park or something. It's a place where they're going to have a fight. He's demolished large swaths of the people's house to build a ballroom. He's paved the Rose Garden. He put his name on the Kennedy Center, which the Washington Post today reports will have to take it down. They have to remove it by Friday. He's done all of these things, not on a wave of the public loving his agenda, but he's done them instead of helping even his own voters with the cost of living and the things they're stressed about. As for the war that he began, that war is deeply unpopular, but it's also causing gas prices to surge. On that, he says he's, quote, bored. When it comes to the deeply unpopular, quite possibly illegal $1.8 billion slush fund to aid his allies, it's a slush fund that even members of his own party object to. He's now contradicted his own acting attorney general and will not assert whether or not it is alive or dead. He calls it, quote, beautiful. The fund's future is so unclear that Congress is now trying to formally kill it. The Senate today voted on a motion.
Americans can't afford gas, can't afford groceries, can't afford child care, and their president is out here redesigning a pond. This is not normal. This is what happens when someone is in office for themselves, not for you. Share this if you're tired of it.
Motion that would permanently ban the fund's existence. Republicans killed that legislation, not because they want to save the fund, but because of other procedural things. Meanwhile, Trump's approval rating has reached a new low amid all this. The latest YouGov Economist poll finds Trump's approval rating at 35%. His disapproval is at a whopping 61%. This is the lowest approval rating of any president since the survey started to exist in 2009. Trump focusing more on himself than the American people is where we begin the hour with Democratic Senator Elissa Slotkin of Michigan. She's a member of both the Homeland Security and Armed Services committees. Senator, I'm embarrassed that was the news that we had to contend with today, but we don't make up the news. What do you make of where we are?
I mean, yeah, that was quite an intro. I mean, I think Look, I mean, I think what's been interesting is to watch my Republican colleagues, I think, start to get the message a little bit that aligning yourself every moment of every day with Donald Trump is not a path to victory for you, for your legacy, for the country. And I think this weaponization fund vote, you alluded to it, you know, where the president was trying to put $1.8 billion of taxpayer dollars in a special fund that he controlled to decide who should listen to the courts, who has been aggrieved. I think it hit this wall with the Republicans that I think is important. And I think, but it fits into a bigger narrative of the president just feeling like he doesn't have to follow the rules. His people don't have to follow the rules. He can do whatever he wants, regardless of our tradition and our democracy. I think, you know, you get absurd introductions, no offense, like that, when you hit kind of a new low with this level of activity coming from the White House.
When your own party starts telling you enough is enough, that's a major moment. But talk is cheap. The real test comes when the votes happen. Save this clip. Come back to it when that moment arrives.
Coming from the White House.
For weeks, Donald Trump has been bragging about his big renovations to the iconic Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. And the Trump administration hired a company that had never worked for the federal government before, giving them a special no-bid contract that has grown from an initial cost of around $1.8 million to more than $13 million. And now it appears that project isn't going so well. The New York Times reports that the repairs appear uneven and behind schedule. And so naturally, Trump is distancing himself from the company doing those repairs, posting on Truth Social, quote, "I didn't give out the contract," quote, I don't know why it's in quotes, "Interior did, to a contractor I did not know and have never used before." Interesting. I mean, why would anyone assume Trump had chosen the contractor for this pool project?
I said, you know, Doug, I have a guy who's unbelievable at doing swimming pools. I said, what we're going to do is I'm going to call all three of these people that have worked for me in the past doing swimming pools. So I called people that do swimming pools, and I said, go take a look at it. I said, I have an idea. I'm going to send my contractor over and take a look. So I have some very good contractors, some good, one or two in particular. And I sent the the three best. He looked at it, he called me up, he said, so we can do something on it? He came back, he said, what an exciting job, sir.
Oh, right. Maybe because Donald Trump said repeatedly in public on camera that he personally chose his pool guys to renovate the reflecting pool, which is not a swimming pool. And I don't know if he's confused or not. And now the New York Times has obtained documents from Interior Department staff that raise concerns about the quality and speed of the repairs. That document reportedly says that there are bubbles and holes in the waterproofing, and uneven coating has left the pool mottled in various shades of blue, which is weird because the reflecting pool wasn't bright blue before. I mean, why are they going to all that trouble to paint it bright blue in the first place?
We actually picked the color. It's called American Flag Blue. It's called American Flag Blue. I said, that's the color I want. I said, that's the color I want. I want American Flag Blue. American Flag Blue. I said, that's the color I like. I picked American flag. See the blue? I picked American flag. It was called American Flag Blue.
All right. That's why. This whole project seems like a huge freaking mess. I mean, the renovations are shoddy, the budget's ballooning, and it's also reportedly behind schedule, which is especially noteworthy because the Trump administration skirted the rules for choosing federal contractors specifically because they said it needed to be done before the America 250 celebration on July 4th. Today, Democratic Congressman Joe Neguse pressed Trump's Interior Secretary about how this all came about.
Who picked this company? Because President Trump, a few months ago, in a New York Times article said, I have a guy who's unbelievable at doing swimming pools. He looked at it. He called me up. He said, sir, we can do something on it.
The National Park Service and the leaders on the National Mall are the ones that picked it.
A no-bid contract is reserved for situations where, quote, any delay would cause serious injury to the government.
We had 19 fountains across the city that didn't work.
That's the
82 homeless
serious
sites.
injury to the government? The serious injury to the government?
Joining me now is the guy who couldn't keep a straight face there. I wouldn't have been able to either. Democratic Congressman Joe Neguse, ranking member on the House Subcommittee on Federal Lands. Okay, this story, I mean, Trump spent weeks saying he chose his pool guy for this contract, and the White House told the New York Times that Trump didn't have a personal relationship with the contractor, but was familiar with their work. Then Doug Burgum told you that the contractor Trump kept talking about wasn't part of the project at all. And of course, the work is incredibly shoddy. What is going on here? To the degree you know.
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me on, Jen. And thank you for your reporting, I think, in exposing these improprieties. As you saw from that exchange, there are more questions than answers. The reality is that Secretary Burgum really couldn't offer a cogent rationale for why his agency gave a no-bid $13 million contract to this contractor who apparently, by all accounts, has never had a federal contract before. And of course, as you've covered extensively, the conflicting reports. One day, the president claims that it's his pool guy. Then he denies that that's the case and that he had nothing to do with it. The secretary really had no particular answer to the questions that I posed. So I think that we're going to find out that there are even more improprieties. At best, it is a gross waste of taxpayer resources. At worst, it's another violation, potentially, of federal procurement laws. And I think more generally, it's symptomatic of the grift and the fraud and I think the corruption that we've seen within this administration just metastasize over the course of the last 18 months.
Your point about it being a pattern is so important. I mean, the reflecting pool, for those of us who live in Washington or anyone who's visited, is obviously a historic landmark, but it's bigger than that. I mean, they're giving out no-bid contracts.
Washington got a monument. Lincoln got a monument. You know what they had in common? They didn't build those monuments themselves. If you want to be remembered, earn it. That's the difference between a great president and this one. Subscribe and hit the bell because this story is far from over.